All right, the last hurrah for the Tama Superstar Super Mahoganies. I'm getting a new drum set today, so we are going to replace this set with the new set. We're not going to spend too much time on the Tama Superstars, as I've made a complete video about these before, but these are still for sale if you're interested. This is a 24-inch kick, 24 by 16 I believe. We have a 13 by 12-inch tom and a 14 by 13-inch tom. The snare is also available, but it's not a Tama snare. It's a Slingerland chrome over steel. These cymbals are also for sale, Zildjian hollow logos, but we're going to use them for the new drum set. So let's stay tuned, and the next time you see this shot, so let's stay tuned and open a box. All right, welcome to the box. It just got here, and I'm super excited to break into this box. Let's take a frickin' look. All right, so far so good. Let's take a look at this. Looks like a tom mount. One single tom mount. Here's our Evans head. Already has a hole pre-cut with some nice tape on it. Looks like there was a couple cracks. That's a really nice tape job. Here looks like a Rezo head. All of our hoops. So this was sent from Florida by Fred. So Fred, looks like you did a great job packing it. Thank you once again. I really look forward to this kit. Hoops and heads. More hoops and more heads. Looks to be another tom mount. Rack tom part 2. Yep. Nice. Okay, looks like we've got hardware in bags. Hardware for toms, hardware for kick. All right, these shells are very nicely nested in here, and they are nicely covered as well. Very nice, Fred, very nice. Okay, so we get our first look at the Yamaha. This is made in Japan, the 5000 series with Lauan or Philippian Mahogany plies of wood with 1 ply of Beech. This looks like the 12-inch. 13. It's definitely been a little while since I've had a wrapped drum set. There we go. This here's the 16-inch floor tom. And, well, here's one of the bass hoops. Also has the wrap on it. Kind of a little wonky, but there you go. These appear to be the bass drum spurs. Oh, nope, sorry, tom legs. They're actually very well marked. So tom legs, here those are. Pretty standard. No spurs so far. Oh, I think they're actually on the kick. So the last item is the 22-inch kick. Awesome. This one has the front Rezo head already in. No, this is the batter head actually installed, and looks like we've got some of the T-rods that are not T-rods, just regular old tension rods for the bass, so that it doesn't interfere with the bass kick. I like that. It's kind of nice. Here is the side spur, really heavy duty looking, and all right, let's go ahead and get this put together and in position. So before we get this kit together, let's just take a closer look while we can look under the hood. Here's the spur again with the triangular lug. This is the wedge lug is what I like to call this. I'm sure it has some other name, but yeah, here's the bearing edge. Not sure how much you can tell, but we do have a beautiful interior of this drum. Let's just take a quick look. This does not have the diagonal seam that I expected to see. It's just a straight seam, or I guess it is kind of diagonal, isn't it? If you hold the camera like so, it is slightly diagonal. Not nearly as much of an angle as the Tama Superstars or Imperial Stars, but this is what the inside of this drum looks like. All natural, feels unfinished. Just a really nice interior with, again, Philippine Mahogany or Lauan and 1 layer of Beech somewhere in there. There don't appear to be any markings on the interior of the shell anywhere. Pretty bare bones. Kind of more of the same inside of the toms. You can see our diagonal seam there. No other markings. Really nice looking bearing edge on all of these toms. Nice work, Yamaha. Again, no markings on the interior of these shells. They're just bare wood. All right, so it took about 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 hours to polish up everything, get all of the hoops and lugs installed. I put a little lithium grease on every single tension rod, so they slipped in nice and good. The threads work perfectly. These are all the original lugs, and I think it's all the original hardware everywhere else. The only items that I could find that are potentially not original are 2 of the T-claws on the corresponding down side. So there's some without the actual T rod. It's just a straight square drum key. So I think that's just so that it sits on the floor without it having those T-rods interfere with the positioning. But anyway, let's hear what this drum kit sounds like. So the microphone array, we have SM58, 2 SM57s on either tom, rack tom that is, and then a PVM 328 all dynamic microphones on all of this part of the drum set, with 1 condenser microphone, the MXL guitar cube on the kick. So that's the mic array. We have 5 microphones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, I think that everything is looking good, feeling good. So let's get a few bass line sounds. So I would say that this kit sounds absolutely great. Everybody says that the Yamaha 5000 series drum set is one of the absolute best workhorses as far as just awesome sounding drums without breaking the bank due to really nice finishes or exotic woods or things like that. So this is a very basic kit with basic sizes. We have a 22 by 16 inch kick. We have a 12 by 10 inch tom, a 13 by 11 inch tom, and a square 16 by 16 floor tom. So pretty standard sizes. This is from 1986, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet, but the listing at least claimed that this is from 1986. And you know, I don't think that this size of drum kit was in vogue at that time. I think this was considered a smallish set, but this was exactly what I was looking for to complement my Tama Superstar set, which has kind of bigger sizes, a 24 by 16 inch kick, a 13 by 12, a 14 by 13, and an 18 by 16 for the Tama Superstar. So this is kind of the more compact, poppier kit, something that's easier to move around and kind of not take up a bunch of space. You'll also remember that I had another set of Tama Superstars, the Super Mahogany set, right here, and it took up a lot more space. Those were also big drums, big power tom sizes, a big 24-inch kick. So this is a really nicer, small size to kind of work in the mix with the larger drums. I've got my Dixon precision coil kick today, so just a single kick, no double bass antics today. But beyond that, again, these are Zildjian hollow logo cymbals, just an 18-inch crash, a 22-inch ride. Not in the most ideal spot. I got to reposition this cymbal later, but for now it works. And then 14-inch hi-hat. right, let's get into a groove. I should say that this drum kit came with pretty beat up Remo double ply heads, and they're okay. You can tell that they've definitely taken a beating, but they still have a little life left, so I didn't just go ahead and throw them out altogether. Also, I just don't have a set of this specific size tom heads ready to go because I've been operating in bigger toms most lately. So I'm gonna have to order a set of Remo, probably some pinstripes. That's what's on here. I like the Remo pinstripes for the Japanese MIJ 80 stuff, and that's exactly what this is. We have Remo heads all around and one Evans head. I actually have an Evans head for the batter side that I might stick on here. This is just an ebony dual ply head that might go on this batter side, but for now it's a Remo Weather King, a power stroke made in USA head. So what I like about this size of drum, like I said, is the maneuverability of it. You can move it a lot easier and it just doesn't take up as much space. But I also love that it doesn't sacrifice tone. This is the ideal size really for me personally. I think that the 22-inch kick is just as boomy as it needs to be. It doesn't need any more oomph than what it has, especially with the hole kind of positioned up where it is. And these toms, I think, sound excellent. I just put a quick tune. I didn't even bring out the tune bot, just did it by ear. And they tune really low and they tune very differently. I mean, it's a matter of a third between each drum. And I could tighten them a little tighter and get some higher tones out of that, and I might do that a little bit later. But my typical preference is to tune the toms as low as they'll go, and then just put a little extra turn on there, like a quarter turn, to make sure they stay. Man, once I get new heads on these, I think that they're gonna sound absolutely amazing because I think they sound really good right now, just out of the box with a minimal tune and just kind of throwing them together, me being anxious enough to just want to play them. But I think that with some new heads, we're gonna go a lot farther tone-wise. So that's the next step. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and play a little more on this set, give you a little more tonal variety, and then we'll leave it at that. So a little bit of information about this specific model of drums. This is the Yamaha 5000 series, and it does say model, it says 80. So these might actually be not 1986, but it does say 522GF. That's the model, 522GF, and that means it's the 5000 series. Made in Japan. It's made on the same exact machine and tooling that the recording customs are, and it really just has that lineage of Yamaha drums through the 70s into the 80s, where kind of all forces converge to make this kind of the most revered period in Yamaha history. That's debatable, obviously. I'd love to hear what you have to say, but I do think that Yamaha in the 80s, similarly to Tama in the 80s, they kind of found their stride early on and just dominated the market. Those two brands alone displaced Ludwig and Slingerland and Rogers and all of the US manufacturers by 1981 or 2. And that is really evident in the quality of this kit, the Tama Superstar behind the camera, and the Tama Superstar that was in this position earlier today. Certain small criticisms that I have include that the seam on the wrap of the toms isn't hidden perfectly with the lug. It's slightly off to the left and off to the right on the larger tom. And on the floor tom, I think the seam is a little more apparent even still. Yeah, it's offset from this lug here. So that's a really small gripe. Otherwise, I'd say the wrap looks really good. There's no wrinkly spots, no wavy gravy going on. It's still adhered to the wood very solidly. The seam doesn't appear as though it's coming apart, so I don't think that a rewrap will be necessary on this kit, at least anytime soon. Otherwise, I guess I should have looked a little closer at this mount. This is a Tama Omnisphere mount, probably from the 90s or 2000s. Looks very new, or at least more modern than the vintage of this kit, and more modern than the Omnisphere mounts on my previous Tama kits from the 80s. So I would say this is a more modern Omnisphere option, but it works perfectly, so I don't really care. All I'm looking for is functionality and sound with a drum set, as well as the certain criteria that we mentioned earlier: movability, small footprint, great sound. Those are what I'm interested in. So let me know what you think of the Yamaha 5000 series drums from the 80s. I got to do a little research to see exactly what the year is, because that 80 in the model indicator is throwing me off. I don't know if that's a year code or not, but it does say 80522GF. So if you know, let me know. I think it's a perfectly awesome drum set. I picked this one up for relatively cheap. It was a good deal, but it was a really good deal, but you can see that it's been used. It's not a perfect mint condition example, and honestly, I kind of prefer that for this style of drum set. It's been a little abused, it's been thrown around, so I don't need to worry about these toms coming in contact with the wrap on the kick. If it so happens, not the end of the world. But it sounds great, it looks cool. I don't know, I'm not entirely in love with the red color of the wrap, but I don't hate it. It's certainly not hideous, it's not ugly. It's just one of those colors that I think I would prefer something, I don't know, a little less red. But anyway, it looks great, it sounds great, and let's play it out. So if you like this content, like and subscribe. Otherwise, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will respond to you as best I can. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.